Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. The time is now 6:46 p.m. I'm going to open this council public hearing. The topic is annexation of property located at 58506 Kavanaugh Street with Mark Comfort and Tom McCappy. Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor Massey. This is a quasi judicial hearing. The subject of the hearing is request for annexation. The subject property is identified in the county assessor map as 58506 Kavanaugh Street or Kavanaugh Avenue, depending on which document you're looking at. On map 4 North 1 West 8C 2500. The applicant is Mark Comfort and the owner is Tom Happy. Because quasi judicial proceedings require the observance of certain procedural formalities, we have to take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. So, does any member of the council wish to declare a potential or actual conflict of interest or bias? Didn't think so. And does any member of the council wish to declare an ex parte communication or a site visit? And is there anybody? No audience, so there's nobody here to object to the ability of the councilor to make a fair decision. So generally, the order of the proceedings will be as follows: prior statements, we're doing applicant presentation, and public testimony. Those in favor, neutral, those opposed, and then any rebuttal, final questions, close of the record, deliberations, and decision. Following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to City Code and ORS 1977975. Following is a list of applicable substantive criteria for this decision. So they handle municipal code 17.08.040, 17.08.060, 17.28.030, and 17.112.030. All arguments, testimony, and evidence must be directed towards the applicable criteria as described or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or regulation, land use regulation, which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue, including constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval in this hearing, in person or in writing, or failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the approving authority and opportunity to respond to the issue, precludes the land use board of appeals on that issue and precludes actions for damages in circuit court. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about this annexation before us tonight. This is pretty classic reason for annexation, connection to the sanitary sewer. The planning commission reviewed this earlier this month and no controversy there. They recommended approval. Their consent was recorded end of last year, or within that 1 year period that kind of came up in the last batch, if you recall. And then I just have some interesting slides. This is not a Sunday level history lesson, but you can take it for something at least. So it's just kind of interesting to look at the history. So here we are south of Gable Road, and this is 2007. And the area that we're looking at that I'll point out here is generally here between what's called First Street and then Furaway on Kavanaugh there. So there we are in 2007. Anything that is not filled in with color, this is an excerpt from the zoning map, means it's not in city limits. So it's all county at the time. So we fast forward to 2011. Oh, whoa, look at that. And this is when we started to see a lot of connections to the sanitary sewer. The most southerly shape in pink there is Les Schwab. They connected to sewer, and then an assemblage of other properties. So then let's fast forward to 2019, and all right, well, we have another property. There's the property behind Les Schwab that was developed and annexed. And then if we go to 2023, oh, whoa, look at that. We have even more properties, and here I'm identifying the subject property. Now, there's a couple of purposes of this slide other than, showing you annexations over time because of that sewer that's in the Kavanaugh right of way. We have to have adjacency to city limits, and that's easy. It's city limits is on all four sides because of the annexation history. So that's easy. And then the significance of the pink. That is highway commercial zoning. That is really the only zoning options. Sometimes in annexation, we have a couple options to choose from. There's only one in this case. And so it's gonna be another highway commercial property. And then the final slide, this is just an aerial photo. Just to show you development patterns as they are today with the subject property outlined there. It is a dwelling, the dwelling is the current use. Now, this commercial designation goes back to 1985, and the dwelling's been there a lot longer than that. And since I knew there wasn't going to be much to this public hearing, I've just discussed this in general. Sometimes when the zoning is established, it takes some time for the purpose of that zoning to take over. And this is kind of a good example. This was a connection to sewer. Now, on the south side of that property, if you were to drive by today, you'd see it's all cleared. And in fact, there's a proposal on my desk, which is about 90% reviewed for a new gas station there. And in talking with the gentleman who is developing the gas station, he's been in conversation with this owner and may very well acquire it to expand their future commercial development. And that's kind of the way the zoning works. So we're seeing that in time, but it was designated commercial in 85. So that was a while ago. Also, just of interest, a house directly south of that property to be annexed is the one where there was someone requesting a haunted house along the highway. Has nothing to do with the annexation, but I know some of you counselors were included in that communication. So that's just an interesting tidbit based on stuff that's happened recently. So it's not really controversial. We support it. And the planning commission does as well, and we hope you do too. So we have some people who showed up. I'm assuming none of you are here to talk about this annexation, but since you're here, we want to give you the opportunity to see. Okay. So no testimony. That means there's no rebuttal. Any final questions of the council? Perfect.
Thank you, Jacob, for all your hard work. Anybody else have anything? All right, so we're going to close this public hearing at 6:53 p.m.
Wells Bank. When did that start up? Because I noticed it was your Thursday. I haven't heard of it. Yeah.
All right, today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. The time is now 7 p.m. Going to call this council regular session to order. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Right, so now we're going to move into visitor comments. Get our script out here. So now is the time for visitor comments. The visitor comment period is an essential part of government meetings. Please address your comments to myself and to the council. We'll take all input into consideration. Please limit your share to 3 minutes or less and observe it to Oregon open meeting laws. This isn't the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Responses to visitor comments, if needed, will be published in the next city council regular session packet. Please provide contact information on the sign-in sheet at the back of the room. And when you come up, please state your name for the record. And with that, we'll take the first public comment. Don't all race.
Brady Preheim. I'm glad that you actually have changed your little script, but the one thing that your script does say is this is your time to listen. And clearly, Mayor, you try your best not to listen to everybody that comes up here. The only one that actually does a good job of that, frankly, is Brandon. And it's just rude. You don't just do it to me, you do it to every single person. And so you might actually listen to what your script says and follow what it says. The other thing is the toxic soil, which is supposedly toxic. I don't really know if it's toxic, but it was my understanding that all of that soil was toxic and now you spread it out. So I'd like someone to address that at some point, maybe in your little weekly thing that you can say, is the soil toxic? Because you spread it out. I also want to talk about Hogue and appointing Matt Smith. I believe it's premature to appoint him when you still have a lawsuit pending. You don't know what the outcome of that lawsuit would be, and should he win his not only large financial settlement, he may also win the right to be chief of police. And it would be very embarrassing to appoint someone and then unappoint them as the police chief based upon that litigation. So the smart thing would be to table that option. Hogue served in that position for almost a year. Smith can serve a while longer until you appoint him. You also have, I'm concerned about the construction punch list. I have seen pieces of tape where there are some cracks in the sidewalk. The pieces of tapes that are in the crack are like 10% of the ones that I can see. I walk every day on that route, and I can tell you that there's a lot of them that you have not identified. So you need to be aware of that. If I was Treadway, I would be really nervous because the language that you used today regarding Treadway is exactly what you said about ETC. They're doing a fantastic job. We just might need to tweak the contract. That's exactly how you got rid of E2C. And as far as the water taxi goes, I don't even think it's yours to sell. If in fact it is city property, which I don't think it is, that's going to be resolved in a lawsuit or litigation between you and E2C, which will eventually have to get resolved. Should that taxi be determined not to be your property, then you would obviously have to give it up. In addition to that, if the city is in fact theirs, you violated tons of laws regarding RFP process. E2C never did an RFP process, and you are well aware that if the city were to have bought a water taxi, you would have had to done an RFP. So is it really your property, or did you break the law in obtaining that property? And finally, your ordinance 3316 is a cheap trick to try and circumvent Harvey's initiative. You should just stop it and don't bother and let Harvey's initiative pass, because it will.
Next public comment, please.
I'll go again.
State your name for the record, please.
Stephen Toskey, citizen of St. Helens. Thank you, Mayor Massey and City Council. The reason why I'm reappearing is on the vote issue because some people actually called me after my public comments at the work session. And then I thought I would call and I would talk a little bit more about some of the issues there and how to manage them. One is if we're really not using the boat, we don't need to insure it. We don't need a captain. The expenses are zero. It's sitting on a lot. We cover it up. We make sure the engines aren't going to get frozen and we wait. Just give it a year. See how things go. See how things look next year. It's not going to cost us any money. And hopefully nobody will vandalize it. I'm sure it's secure on city property. And that way we don't have this concern for expense. So that's a solution there until we find a solution, because I think the point I made in my first public comments is the difference in vision for our city. It's really the difference of where do you want our city to be? What is your vision for the city? And it can work out and it has worked out. We've seen it run on the city waterways for 2 years, 2 separate years. And the city council wants to explore this further. Ask Gloria Bush to provide what the expenses to the people were. And you'll find that there are no expenses to the people. This was completely absorbed within the tourism program. And if you should find that there's something different, then you can make another decision on that. But the idea that this is costing the city money, this is something we haven't been able to afford under a different tourism management. This expense has been managed. It's a $250,000, $300,000 investment that I don't think we should just walk away from. So there's that. I think that we really need to turn our attention to some of the social issues that are facing our city. These are the major challenges for you as a council. We have major problems in our schools. And this isn't about child abuse. This is about education. This is about reading, writing, arithmetic. Our test scores are bad. And we need to be thinking about how do we get some development in here and folks to invest in this town that are willing to put our kids in public schools to get our test scores up. We have a school district, from my understanding and talking to people there, that are struggling with a lot of issues that are coming from this new housing development. I suggest that you guys shift your focus to the bigger issues here and how we continue to get our city moving forward in a very social manner, not worry about things like boats and things like that. So I'm challenging you to do that. Thank you again for listening to me in public comment.
Next public comment, please.
Council, Mayor, John. My name is Jim Coleman, resident of St. Helens. And I agree with Mr. Toskey. You guys got bigger and better things to do than deal with boats. Here we are again. If I was here presenting to you that I wanted to come to St. Helens and run a tourist boat, and I'd set up my docking, my parking, and leave you free and clear of the whole thing. I just give me a permit, the okay that Jim Coleman can run a tourist operation out of this boat, out of this town on a boat. I would be all for that. If Mr. Toskey wanted to do that, I'd be all for that. What I'm not for is the city trying to do it. We've been struggling with this boat for 3 years, 2 years. I would listen to the work session. Still issues with Coast Guard inspections. I'm here to tell you they don't go away. That 30 passenger inspection on that boat will require an inspection every year. And then the COI will be every 5 years again. An annual inspection and an inspection every 5 years on that boat. I think there was a question asked, how much is the insurance on that boat? And it didn't get answered. My answer was, well, we're gonna have the captain insure it. Get out of this business. I mean, so it just goes on and on and on. Astoria and Portland have great tourist boat operations. All private people. Astoria has 3, I believe. Some big time operations that run up and down the river. A little guy that has a little tugboat, he puts around and shows them Astoria from the water. That's great. Private individual. The budget committee, Mr. Toski is a head of that. I heard sell us excess properties. This is an excess property. We don't have, everybody said we don't have use for it. There's talk of Sand Island Marina being it, Sand Island Dock Park being able to use it. Well, offer the boat to him on a bid process. And if he's able to buy the boat and get you out of the liability of this boat, have him buy it. Or I think that should go out on a bid process and like an auction or whatever, that he would be one of the auctioneers, one of the buyers that could buy it. Just to lease it to him, I think sounds a little favoritism in my book. That Sand Island, I heard somebody, Jessica, say that she'd like to see an audit of that Sand Island operation, and that might not be a bad idea. But Sand Island Marine Park is Brad's park. So anything that wants to go on over there, you got to go through Brad to make that happen. Brad is Sand Island Marine Park. So
Hey, Jim.
anyway, am I on time?
Uh,
God dang it. I was going to talk about ethics a little bit and lack of,
well, you could come back next time.
I got to eat dinner or something. Thank you very much.
Right, next public comment, please.
Holcomb, Waller again, owner of the Klondike. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents about the boat. I actually agree with both Steve and Jim, because it's a complex topic and there's lots of opportunities, but given that I'm trying to finance a $3.5 million investment in a hospitality business down here, and given how much you've invested as a city in the redevelopment of the waterfront and the growing relationship with the river, right? To have like beaches and sort of a non-motorized pier and, you know, views and viewpoints and all of this, it does seem to me like even though the boat is a big responsibility, you're holding on to something that has a lot of opportunity. And there's a lot of opportunity to explore with the boat. And I learned about kind of what was going on with it only just because I happened to come in earlier this afternoon. And as a person trying to develop hospitality and tourism down here, which I think is really in partnership with the greater vision of the city, I've always dreamed that a boat and the amenities a boat could provide, particularly when they can pull right up to sand and like have people walk off of it. Given our proximity to the beaches on Sylvia Island, Richfield, and of course Sand Island is just huge. It's such an appealing amenity. And I recognize that it's probably terribly unenjoyable for a city to be managing those expenses and all of the complexities, like you said, but I just wanted to put in my 2 cents that it's such a cool amenity and a part of the future vision. And I would just say that if you're going to make any decision on it, and like you said, the local businesses might have a lot of ideas. The production company, Treadway, might have a lot of ideas about how they could use this asset. And so I would just encourage you to, I mean, I don't know, like a subcommittee or public meetings, I'd show up. I'm sure that Treadway would have ideas. And I'm sure Jim knows people who have ideas. I just think it deserves some careful consideration. So I just want my 2 cents that maybe don't decide to sell the boat off just yet, but really explore the opportunities that are in line with the strategy of the future vision of this waterfront, engaging with the river more, and everyone engages with the river more. That's the entire construction plan, really. So a boat is just so cool. And honestly, like I even have thought I need to rework my little finance plan to like put in $200,000 or $300,000 for this boat so I could bid on it. But I just think it's a really great opportunity for the city to have this asset. And obviously, I don't know, that's it. Thank you.
Next public comment, please. Do we have anybody online? All right, so that moves us into deliberations. So number one is annexation of property located at 58506 Kavanaugh Street. At the public meeting, do we have any?
The easy thing to do would be to make a motion to approve it as recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve the annexation of property located at 58506 Kavanaugh Street, owner Mark Comfort, Tom Mavi.
Really quick, Kathy, is Jessica online at all? Our council president Chilton? No. Okay, so we had a motion second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Ordinance, final reading, so number two, ordinance number 3310, an ordinance amending the St. Helens Municipal Code 2.12, the city administrator.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 3310, an ordinance amending St. Helens Municipal Code, chapter 2.12, city administrator. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Ordinance first reading. So we have number three, ordinance number 3315, an ordinance amending the St. Helens Municipal Code, chapter 13.30, adding a sunset provision to the public safety fee.
Read them.
Do you want to do them both at the same time?
I'm just reading them.
No, yeah, we're just reading as the first reading.
Yeah.
So. Motion? Somebody?
Do we need a motion? I think we just read.
First reading, so
Oh, you need
it's
it. Okay,
reading.
sorry, my bad. Thank you for keeping me in check there. So we also had another one, which is ordinance number 3316. An ordinance amending the St. Helens Municipal Code, chapter 13.32, requiring voter approval before the establishment of new fees on utility bills unrelated to this utility services. Okay, and those were the final, our first readings. So resolution, so we have a resolution number 5, resolution 2052. It's a resolution appointing Matthew Smith as the chief of police for the city of St. Helens. And I'm going to declare a potential conflict. So I'm going to at this time not be part of the discussion. So does somebody else want to take this one for motion or?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2052.
Okay, we have a motion second.
We have some discussion.
Second to that.
Given some of the public comments we had about timing, is there any validity to that, or can you comment on that?
There were comments about timing to delay appointing Matt Smith until the litigation is resolved. At this point, Joe Hoag has resigned. And I think the litigation relates to damages. The city needs to move forward with this is the truth. I don't see the appointment I don't see that the things are relevant as far as impacting the city's, impacting the litigation, because Joe Hoag has already resigned his position. That being said, the city could decide to delay appointment. But I don't see a reason to do so based on the pending litigation. If there are reasons related to the merit or, maybe those could be raised. So.
Any other discussion?
No, she's here. I wish he was here.
I just received a note that he's out of the office.
Some vacation.
So it's bad scheduling, maybe.
Well, that's
for the
fair.
Appointment. He's out of the office.
Counselor Sundin, did you have any other discussion?
No, just I know, John, we are waiting for several things to come back, and so assuming all that's come back clean and ready to go.
Yeah, all the background and psych evaluation, all of that's.
Yeah, so in May, or I believe at the beginning of June, the city appointed Matt Smith after he was successfully selected by the evaluation committee. And he was appointed conditional upon passing a background check and a psychological evaluation. And he has successfully and satisfactorily passed those items and was recommended by those evaluators for him to be appointed. And so that's why this decision is before you now. Under the new governing policy, the city administrator selects the department heads and it's subject to confirmation by city council. So this is the confirmation of Chief Smith.
Do we have a motion? We have a second? Counselor Sundin?
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard?
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson?
Aye.
And I'm abstaining. Great. Congratulations, Matt Smith, as the new chief of police for St. Helens. And she was here too. Award bid contract number 6, award bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with Specialized Pavement Marking LLC for 2025 pavement stripping. This is project number R723 in the amount of $65,946.10.
Make a motion to award the bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with Specialized Pavement Marking.
Second.
A motion, I have a second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Myself. I am myself, excuse me. Number 7, award bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with S2 Contractors Incorporated for 2025 pavement patching project R722 in the amount of $54,654.
Make a motion to award bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with S2 Contractors.
Second.
A motion, a second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Approve and or authorize for signature. So extension of agreement with McKinstry Ascenton, is that right? Ascenton LLC for the micro grid planning and preliminary design related to the ORCREP grant award.
I'll make a motion to approve and or authorize for signature extension of agreement with McKinstry Accession LLC for microgrid planning and preliminary design related to the the Oregon CREP grant.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, Counselor Sundin, Counselor, discussion.
Who are these guys? What do they do?
So they are energy
Couldn't find anything on them.
performing performance contractor. They did the initial work on the Castor Road design for the solar installation grants through the state, this prep program. That project kind of went flat. We shifted that over to the library and then designed the library. And yeah, that didn't get funded.
Oh, that's why it's pushing forward.
And so we are looking, and this is an opportunity to bring some funds back to the police station project. It's up to $1 million. There is a requirement, it's that construction at 1.5% is goes to solar is required. So that'll offset some of the costs. It'll be a more robust and more highly competitive application we anticipate.
Okay, I just couldn't see the background on them. All right. Yeah.
And there's no fees on the front end to do it. So
All right, so we had a motion, we had a second, I'm gonna go back again.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard,
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, all right. So we have consent agenda for acceptance, we have number 9, Parks and Trails Commission minutes dated June 9th, 2025, and number 10, Planning Commission meeting minutes dated July 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve consent and an agenda for acceptance line items 9 and 10 is read.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard. Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
I'm aye as well. A consent agenda for approval, so we have number 11, City Council minutes dated July 16th and August 4th, 2025. Number 12, declare surplus property, real properties described as tax account number 993-110 and 8848. And number 13, accounts payable bill list.
Approved consent agenda items 11, 12, and 13 is read.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Discussion.
Okay.
I recuse myself on the first tax lot 9938 and 101,015. And who's the other?
Okay,
Let's
Um,
break it down then.
yeah,
Vote it down.
so let's go back and Counselor Sundin,
No,
Counselor Hubbard,
Okay, where are we now?
we're voting it down.
We're
He's not
gonna
voting
vote
it
it
down.
down.
Oh,
Voted
By
down.
line.
Overruling that down. That one. Okay, got it.
Counselor
Okay.
Gunderson?
No.
Yeah, I'm a no as well. All right, let's try this again. Let's break them up.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda item 11, city council minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
And I as well. So. Let me see if Rita gave this out.
Do 12, and then we'll vote on it.
I know.
He can Recuse himself.
He
Do
trying to,
12, only real properties 9983 and 10015 together,
and then do it again.
and then do it again.
All right. Got this. Counselor Sundin.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda 12, declare surplus property. Real properties describes the tax account numbers 9983 and 10015.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
discussion.
Oh,
He's gonna recuse himself.
discussion.
At this point in time, I recuse myself, yes.
Perfect.
Just saying. Yes.
Your guess? Okay, Gunderson is yes, and I am an I as well.
All right.
We got it.
It's messy.
I just thought he was gonna go through it and then abstain on the vote, but makes sense. All right.
And now I make a motion to approve consent agenda item also formerly listed number 12, declare surplus property tax account number 28848.
Second.
All right, we have a discussion? No, we're good there.
We had discussion on.
We already
Okay,
did.
we're good. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
And I as well. Woof. That was a very lengthy. Um. We have one.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda for approval, number 13, account payable lists, bill lists.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
All right, I'm a as well. Okay, we have a work session item.
Great. I move to direct staff to develop an RFP to solicit proposals from HR professionals for human resources professional services as needed. Direct the expenses to be paid by the affected departments.
Okay.
We have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm a as well. All right, we have council member reports. Counselor Sundin, do you want to go? first?
All right, so I just wanted to report just a little bit on the meeting of the Parks and Trails Commission. So two of the things that they're working on that are kind of new, so they're working on an online assessment tool where each commissioner will be assigned 2 or 3 parks, which they've done that for a long time. And they've kind of been responsible for that park. But with this tool, they'll be going to the parks and probably on their phone, be able to walk through the park and be able to list how many people they're seeing in the park. Are there any concerns, any safety concerns, any vandalism, things like that, that they'll be able to document, push a button and send it right to the parks maintenance staff. So it's a way for them to get out and visit the parks and also let staff know of any potential concerns. So I know they've been working with, I believe, Kathy and Crystal and a number of people to get that up and going. So, and then they're also starting some discussions of reviewing their bylaws and making sure everything in their bylaws is applicable. They feel like there's some things in there that the Parks and Trails Commission doesn't currently do. So they want to look at their bylaws and start working on reviewing those. So those are a couple big things that they're working on. A little exciting things going on. I think summer's coming to a close and school getting ready to start, but kind of exciting to see several new businesses opening up in town with a bookstore downtown and a couple new businesses opening up a little further up towards the highway. And just wanted to take a look here. So 100 years ago, people were excited about businesses opening in town as well. So August 26, 1925, J.C. Penney was moving into St. Helens, and that was a big deal. Says the St. Helens store is full of new and desirable stock of dry goods, shoes, clothing for men and women, garments for children, and the general line of notions. Anybody know where that first J.C. Penney store was? Any guesses?
Wasn't the same building that it was in when they closed.
It was where the Ace was, or the, that building.
He's pointing down here. But it was here.
It's downtown. So the law library, that was the first J.C. Penney building. So then they outgrew that building and they moved across the street to where Two C's is currently located. Was there for a long time and then opened up. What's there now? The Vault, I think. That was J.C. Penney when I was a kid. So had three locations in town.
Around a lot.
Yep. So there's your history
The
lesson
question
for
is,
tonight.
do they have a photo?
There are photos.
Was there a
There's
photo?
no photo here, but I can.
That's awesome.
And then just the last thing that kind of bothered me, it's again, misinformation. So I was called a little weasel today, which was a new one for me. So I've been called some names before, but never that one. And honestly, I don't feel like it was deserved. I try hard to be respectful and kind to everybody. And as I've sat here and looked out at the room tonight of everybody that started here, Jenny and Adam and Brady and Jim and Steve and everybody that was out here, I've had personal conversations with them. I've answered emails, I've answered phone calls. I try very hard to be receptive and responsive to people, and I take pride in that. And thing that you accused me of doing, Mr. Preheim, was not true. So I actually had voiced my opinion that, and again, I was not invited to plan the ribbon cutting ceremony, but I expressed my opinion that the former mayor be invited to participate. And it was left at that, and that's as far as it went. And again, I wasn't invited to plan that or to give any input or discussion on who should or should not be included. But that was my hope, that if the opportunity presented itself, that he would be given the opportunity to participate. For whatever reason, that did not happen. So call me a little weasel if I deserve it, but I don't feel like I did deserve that.
If you want to have a dialogue.
It's not time for conversation right now.
And-
It's not time for conversation right now.
That's exactly my point. It's not time for contact. And if you wanted to address my public comment, then I will have a time.
It's not time for.
If you
And I-
want to do that in the future, don't think about it.
And I would be happy to talk to anybody one-on-one. And
Or you do that, but you don't do it publicly. From your little BS.
I guess that is all I've got tonight.
Thank you for the history lesson.
Yep.
Counselor Hubbard.
Speechless.
Okay, no comment from you?
Comment, we don't, for the planning, I have nothing.
No, okay. Counselor Gunderson.
I want to bring up the boat. Seems to be a lot of talk of the boat the last couple of meetings. I think it's an asset we have and we should explore what we can do with it since we have it. I agree with pretty much everything that everybody else has said. I think, I mean, not a whole lot of towns that have a river like this with the campground and just this general location. So for what it's worth, I think we owe it to residents and tourists to be able to have that as some sort, and I don't even know what that would look like, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that does. So I just want us to keep in mind that we do have it and that is an option. That's all.
So I'll go. I want to start out with starting off saying thank you to Kathy and Lisa. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. These packets are crazy that you guys go through and put together each week, and every time we add something to agenda, you have to update it. So thank you so much for your hard work. And that goes for the rest of the city staff as well. Like I walk throughout the town and run, and I can see them out in their trucks and doing their thing. And it's a lot of work and appreciate that. I also want to echo Counselor Sundin. I actually had this on my list from the general session today. The work session. So Counselor Sundin did not say anything about having the ex-mayor not participate. I don't actually know who, as I sit here today, who made the ultimate decision. I wasn't also here for that. I was away for work. I don't know who, like, if it was collective, I did voice my opinion that I did not think that it was appropriate. I thought that the disparaging comments that were made to the council members and about the council, I thought was inappropriate. But I don't know exactly who made the decision, but Brandon, Councilor Gunderson did say that he thought he should be there. And actually, I said, initially, I thought that he should be there as well until I had further thoughts about it. So I will actually concur with you and stand behind you that that's exactly what you said. So that is misinformation. And it, I did have the opinion after I thought about it that I did not think that he should participate. Which is also my right to have that opinion. I also want to address the water bill. There's comments made about, publicly talking about it. I feel like that's our job as representatives of the city and elected officials to, try to advocate for the things that we believe is right. I don't think that there's a lot of transparency brought up earlier. There's misinformation about the $750,000 payment that's due, that doesn't include principal and interest. I don't know how many times that we need to say that, unless that we're just getting false information from our city administrator or false information from our finance director, but it's in the documents. So I don't know why we keep hearing it. And I'm going to continue to advocate for voters to have a choice. That's why I brought it in front of council. I think that they should. But I'm not in favor of repealing the $750,000 public safety fee, because we're in a financial situation. We cannot use the proceeds to pay back the loan. We are going to have it. We're getting fined for not building it. And the reality is that I will keep publicly saying it with the information I have at this time, that it is, I don't think, advantageous financially for us to put ourselves in a situation that then we have to cut a bunch of services. But if that's what comes up, if that's what the voters want, then we'll have to cut services. We're going to have to be prepared to do that. That's a very real thing, whether people think so or not. So I'm going to stay out there. I'm going to continue to educate people that there is going to be a reduction if in fact that gets repealed. And unfortunately, I believe it's going to be the citizens that need it the most, the services the most, that are going to be affected. I think it's important to put a line in the sand so that we've now modified, we have a sunset clause on the actual term of the public safety fee. I think that's vitally important. I think it's also important that it goes back to the voters. So, having the ordinance, I think that that's a great first step. I think it would be very unwise to have council overturn that at some point. But I think that that is a great step moving forward. And so my concern is that, the citizen petition, that's democracy and that's the way that it goes and we need to support that. But I'm concerned that people are also not being given the correct information out there still. Because you see it online and you hear it from people's mouths. So I think we just need to continue to try to put the correct information out there. I don't know how to make it any more clear. And also, there was a comment made about John Walsh and that the council doesn't trust him. There's no disputing that it's been a rocky road. I had opinions about John early on. I've said that. I've publicly said it. But what I think council's done here is that we have worked really hard on having transparency and building relationships on trust and communication. And so early on in my appointment, yeah, I definitely feel like, but I think I've definitely had mistrust, but I feel like the way that we've been moving forward with communication and how we, are handling things, that, there's definitely more trust that, and I appreciate your communication that you have back, because that's how trust and relationships are built. So, it's been a rocky road, but I think it's also been progressively better, like every single month, my opinion. Don't know if you share it. It's fine if you don't, but I do feel that way. And my last thing is that Steve Topaz and Art, I don't know his last name. Betzkowicz. There was a request today to come in and give a presentation, and I would really advocate for council to support having them come in for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Hopefully with the expectation they'd have a very clear agenda that could be stuck to. And here's why. It's because as you heard Steve talk about, Mr. Topaz talk today, that we had sat down and talked to him. There is a wealth of information in the lagoon, and that whole topic it's pretty deep, and there's a lot of minutia to it. And it feels like the conversation we had was really enlightening, and I would like for them to have an opportunity for the council to hear what they said. Art's very familiar with a lot of things. They brought a lot of things up in that meeting that I think we should publicly let them present to us, because we should be aware of those concerns going forward as we make decisions on that lagoon. So I would love to see us offer an opportunity for them to be on the agenda.
I'm on board, absolutely.
My first initial impression was I don't know that a regular council meeting would be a good opportunity for that, but to me, it'd be nice to have a round table and sit around and have a good discussion. They can present maybe its own special
I'm
session.
okay
Fine
with
with
that, because how long was that meeting that we had, John? It was like an hour and a half.
At least,
And
yeah.
it was, there's a lot of stuff, and I'd like to be able to validate and verify some of the information, but there's a lot of information, and that's a big project. And, if there is toxic waste there, and what we're going to do with it and all the different things, they just had so much incredible insight, and Art's knowledge is extensive when it comes to environmental. So if we could set something up, I think that it would be one great that we, have that civic engagement to two individuals that have a lot of time doing research. And then we can, get some information and then do our due diligence to follow up on it if some of it's not clear to us. Can we set up a special session? Can we do a general consensus to try to set something up?
A special session or just a public forum sorts, perhaps at like 6 o'clock hour.
Doesn't need to be a special session.
Yeah, I don't think a special session, but at least so it's dedicated to allowing them to present to us. But the expectation, again, because it can go off the rails pretty fast, it's very clear defined agenda on what they're going to present. I mean, we ended up going off in some different tangents were also interesting, but to stay hyper focused on the lagoon area.
Should there be other people involved? For answers? Questions?
I mean,
This is their platform.
yeah, I feel like, it's up to council, but I feel like giving them the platform to present the information they have, their concerns, their ideas. And then we kind of go from there, and, if there's other subject matter experts that need to be brought in, then I think that we could do that, but
I'm good with that. What I don't want is a debate and a yelling match.
correct.
I want the information. I'm fine with the information from both sides, and that's fine. But I want it to be.
I will say that
respectful.
I thought that might be the case when we first had our meeting, right? A little bit of frustration, but it wasn't at all. It was a really good meeting. So
And I get that. All I'm saying is that, he's got a few opposing views, and I'm sure him and his partner have compared to what we're being told. So, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I think
Don't need
that,
to be.
would you agree that this would be their time to present it and then we take the
Absolutely.
information? I don't think it's a time for debate. We're not, but it's just the information. Do you have any opinion on that, John?
Yeah, I don't think there's any decisions anticipated out of the meeting.
No,
Purely informational.
right.
If I could make one recommendation, just as when they requested that also, what came to mind to me is it could be helpful, although I don't want to put more on staff's plate. And I also, maybe there's disagreements with staff, but it could be helpful for a staff person that's involved to kind of work with them on the agenda and scope out the agenda for, the agenda that'll be useful and productive for the discussion. And then for staff to be present at the public forum to discuss things and to be able to identify issues that they want to correct or just confirm, so that there's some guidance in the presentation. But if that's,
I think that's a
thought that
great
came to mind.
I think that's a really good idea, because there was a couple things that came up during our meeting that were like kind of burning on, like Art's mind, right? But then there was an answer, an instantaneous answer of why, and that obviously helped the situation. So I think that's a great idea if in fact we can do that.
Yeah. Set it up.
If we do, I'm just looking at the schedule. If we do something October first, that would give them and whoever we invite enough time to be prepared.
Like that.
And we could do it as a public forum at 6 o'clock before the regular session.
Perfect. All right, anything else? Anything else, John? You good? All right, so the meeting, the time is now 7:45. This council session is adjourned.